contraceptives were widely accepted and available, as evidenced by this condom dispensing machine from East Germany.
Later on, your attention. Asian hate needs to be talked about, so let's talk about it. I already talked about it a lot, but for the people that are not aware, Asian hate is basically the discrimination against Asians. And this happens a lot. Whether that would be getting attacked on the street because you're Asian, or having Asian slurs screamed at you, things like that. Let me just remind everyone, this all happens because they're Asian, nothing else. Why is this still happening today? A few months ago, an Asian guy was attacked and nearly died, all for the fact that he was Asian. And what's worse is that these people never get their consequences. Society has normalized Asian hate so much, to the point where we don't even say anything about this, or we don't question it. People will say end racism, but still make Asian jokes, and it's all absolutely disgusting. And it is a big issue in today's society. People always stereotype them and say, oh, Asians are so smart, they're so good at math. But even though that's not a negative, it's still stereotyping them. People don't realize it because that's not saying anything bad. But at the end of the day, that's still stereotyping. So everyone, please spread this message. Stop Asian hate. Comment that if you made this one video. Thank you guys all so much, and link to my God to hope.
What can we tell about this person? And what about them? Artist Shalala himself creates avatars to investigate the living breed and she creates them out of collage, repurposed fabrics. They might be seen as layered or disjointed, but they're certainly not perfect representations. And she doesn't want to create perfection, literally or figuratively. She says the problem with creating a perfect figure is that you're creating another myth. There are already enough myths around the black box. The perfect black person is another fantasy. No body functions like that in the real world. The works are meant to make us think about why we read these figures as black women, which self-says they are, but their features are so vague. She over-exaggerates certain forms of the body while obscuring others. In some works, Self places her subjects in a bodega, similar to the ones she grew up around in Harlem. The bodega stays, common in black neighborhoods in New York, emphasize that her subjects, these avatars, are just regular people. She's playing here with the idea that black people are always scrutinized, even in their own spaces, and when her work is viewed by white audiences, she's emphasizing the judgments that are placed on black people. Her avatars are tricking their viewer, whether they're being glorified or scrutinized, into assigning judgments of gender, status, or personality. The reality of these collages and the people that they represent is that they're made up of many parts. In this case, these collages are not really people, they're just shapes.
I want to be a teacher, but I can't because I'm autistic. When I say that, I'm not talking about the kids. I can be entirely myself. I can be weird, I can unmask around the kids, and they love it, and they respect it, and it's so refreshing for them, and they make that very clear. I have taught before, and it's wonderful. In the public education system, all the adults you have to deal with, all the work you have to do that doesn't make sense, the other ways it encourages burnout. I feel like I can't follow my passions because of the way society has set up, not just education, but certain jobs in general. Like, as autistic people, what are we supposed to do when the things that we enjoy, the only way to make a living out of them is to be miserable? So here I am pursuing other jobs that I know will respect my time, even though they're not necessarily what I feel fulfilled doing, because I know I would be miserable and exploited in the industries or whatever's of what I actually want to do.
Unfortunately, due to capitalism being at the root of everything, I have decided that in order to align with my highest self, I will never be doing anything ever again.
Let's play a game. Put a finger down if you love women. 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 Put a finger down if you women. Put it down if you women. If you really want, if you women and you like and you want to kiss women. Put a finger down if you women and you really like women and you love. I love women and kiss me, please, please. Oh me, oh my.
Is God opposed to abortion?
There's no ban on abortion in Islam. There's no ban on abortion at any point, for any reason, by any method.
All right, okay.
In Judaism, abortion is permitted, and where the pregnant person's life is at stake, it's required, because the health and well-being of the pregnant person comes first.
Okay. Jamie. A little more complicated.
Bad news. Well, let's bear in mind that what I'm about to say is a teaching created by men who are ostensibly celibate, who have no inroads or connection to the lives of women because they do not have wives, they do not have daughters.
Great start.
Yeah. And the Catholic Church teaches that in almost every circumstance, abortion is murder.
Is it in the Bible?
No.
This video is for fat people and for people who love fat people. So I was on the bus the other day and I saw this gorgeous fat woman. We had very, very similar super fat body types. And I had a very mind-blowing, like, perception, weird out-of-body experience. I noticed her doing something that I know that I do, but I never knew what I looked like doing it. If you're fat, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's say you're on the bus or you're on the subway with a non-fat friend. If you're gonna share like the love seat, right? Like the 2-seater, I guarantee that you're gonna wanna sit on the outside, right? And when you sit on the outside, I bet you that you do whatever it takes to not let your thigh touch your friend's thigh. Which means that most probably you are letting half of your leg, or maybe your full ass butt cheek, hang over the side, and you are so uncomfortable, but to you it means that you're making enough space for your friend. Like, you're not invading your friend's space by being fat. Anybody else doing this? I do this all the time. Now, I never thought much of it. I just really didn't want to like be perceived as fat. I didn't want to take up too much space. I didn't want to get into my friend's personal space, yada, yada, yada. But witnessing this gorgeous, fat, young girl sitting so uncomfortably and letting her leg just hang off the side while her very straight-bodied friend had so much room in the gap and was just chilling out, it really made me question, why are we making ourselves extra uncomfortable in seats that are not made for us so that we can make the people that we're with more comfortable, people who the seats are literally designed for? Why aren't they making extra room for us to feel more comfortable? Sorry, my cat's in the way here. When I noticed this, I saw what I looked like, and I thought to myself, I'm not doing this anymore. If I'm with a loved one or a friend who can't stand the feeling of my legs taking up a little extra space on their side, then that person's definitely not the right friend for me. You know what I mean? I was literally sitting with a straight-sized friend when I noticed this, and I was like, oh my god, I'm doing the exact same thing. My butt is hanging off the side. So I just scooched right in. And my thigh touched my friend's thigh, and that was it. She didn't think anything of it. And boom, I was 100 times more comfortable. So, all to say, if you are fat, take up some more space. Get comfortable, especially if you're sharing the love seat with someone who loves you. If for some reason that person has a problem with you guys touching, then that's their problem, you know what I mean? Thanks for tuning in, that's it.
I'm a homosexual. I'm a homosexual.
In grad.
It was the snow on the bluff. They say they be talking them ways, but we be calling they bluff. On that ass, I'm playing charades. I don't be talking too much. Niggas still out pump, finger they swinging on runs. I bet that hoe be pounding the blunt. Okay.
The musket shoots 2 to 3 bullets per minute. What the founding fathers had in mind. Also, I want to say that the reason the musket is in the Second Amendment, which I'm sure you know this, right? So I'm trying to figure out really the meaning of the post, other than I'm wondering if you're using the same talking point that a lot of liberals use, and that is the fact that, oh, well, the Second Amendment was only designed for muskets. No, the Second Amendment was designed to keep and bear arms. It doesn't say keep and bear arms of the times when this document is created, right? So it just says keep and bear arms. And at the time, the only arms that were around are those. And now, obviously, we've progressed to where there's crazy amounts of varieties of weapons. It's like saying, oh, well, we have freedom of speech, but only whenever the document was written. It only pertained to speech back then. And I disagree with you.
Number one, we ain't buddies. Number two, why are you purposely being obtuse? What is well regulated about anything you just said? Number three, you so lost in the sauce about partisanship politics. As soon as somebody start opposing your weak ass political positions, you automatically assume they the ops. Let me tell you something, man. Number four, I can give a better criticism and critique of liberalism and Democrats than you ever could dream of. Number five, bro, you look like one of them WWF tag team wrestlers from the 90s. Do you know that? Number six, the Second Amendment starts off with the phrase of a well-regulated militia. My question is to you, where is your militia and who is regulated? And who gets to dictate if it's well-regulated or not? Number seven, like CD said in your comment section, so why aren't you fighting to legally buy grenades or rocket launchers? A well-regulated militia, that's what the Second Amendment states. Number eight, let's play this little game because you purposely being obtuse. Like this person said in your comment section, so why did you let the government make atomic machine guns illegal? Number nine, if you know anything about American history, it tell you that the government always already has the capacity to put down whatever little rebellion, malicious shit you want to pull against this statutory social order they got. Number 10, your name is very fitting, outspoken, whatever the hell that is, but it's obvious you met your match.
Non-binary people do not owe you androgyny. They do, however, owe you a little dance or a jig.
Be a man. What? You're a total anti-sexist, a patriarchy fighter, but your whole worldview collapses the moment there's a spider. Cool.
It's about damn time. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Feeling fussy, walking in my Balenciennes, trying to bring out the fat bitch looks. Cause I give a fuck way too much. I'ma need like 2 shots in my.
When I meet a fellow Asian American and I want to know which way they lean politically, I ask them one question. Who was the bad guy in Crazy Rich Asians? Rachel's mom was the bad guy. Like, why was she even poor in the first place? It's called Crazy Rich Asians. Rachel was the bad guy. She was so loud. Women need to learn their place. Also, I hate Constance Wu. Those 2 brown guys in that one scene. Kevin Kwan, actually, for writing the book. My perspective is so unique. I think Eleanor was the bad guy. Like, I just don't understand why she couldn't let Nick and Rachel just do what they wanted. Nick was the bad guy because he just dropped Rachel in the war zone that was his family without telling her anything. And then when she came back and was like, hey, this happened, he was like, Eleanor and all the other rich people in that movie are billionaires. They're class enemies and therefore they're the bad guys because they made their wealth off of land development.